My name's Summer Cress. Um, I'm trying to start a recovery community organization here in Union and Towns County. I'm really passionate about people being able to find their way into recovery and staying in recovery, finding out that life in recovery can be fun and it's not all, hard work. Because I was able to find that for myself. It took a long time, people staying committed to me, for me to be able to find that. I was raised here in Blairsville, Georgia, and I kind of found my way into drugs and alcohol at a really young age in high school. And I actually got arrested when I was in high school, just for smoking pot, and, that was really it, and, I got sent to, like, an alternative school, and nobody really, tried to get me help or treatment, and, I probably didn't want it, even if, they would have offered, but it wasn't really, like, what's your problem? How can we help you? It was like, just fucking stop. um, you know, and basically, they told me I could do this and come back and graduate my class. I was a straight A student, I had never done anything wrong or anything even like that before. But I had never been in an environment like that. And I had never even really hung out with kids, had been sent to programs like that before. It was kind of a culture shock to me, and I really couldn't handle it. There was nobody to even counsel me through that kind of change in my life. So finally my mom let me get my GED. I went to college early without my class, without anybody I knew. And I even more retreated into drugs and alcohol there, but I survived the first year. Like I said, I'm pretty smart. I think a lot of us who use drugs are probably too smart for our own good. And that next semester going into my next year, I had been seeing this guy, and we used to go out to bars and stuff, and sometimes we would use other drugs, and we went home for the night, and he had passed out, just like a normal night, but he was like face down, and he asphyxiated himself actually, and like vomited, and he didn't wake up the next morning. I was the first in my family to go to college. And even though I was doing all this stuff and this had just happened, my mom, just pull through and go to school, and, you can't focus on that, that's not you. You need to stop doing that or it will be you. Just stop. That's all I kept hearing. There was nobody to get me through that. Except there was, there was another friend of ours who was a boy, and he did opiates. And he was a lot further along than I was, multiple, to get through the day kind of thing. And, I had used a needle before here in Blairsville, and, he hadn't, but he was, like, using a lot of pills, and we kind of just met in the middle, and, he had found heroin, and we ended up selling to support our habit, and I was going back and forth, and we were in love, and we weren't, and things were just falling apart, and, you know, we were trying so hard to hang on, but I actually got arrested in 3 counties, Union being the last, like, right after Christmas, you know. They came to my parents' house, and, I was the first in Union County, to be arrested for selling heroin. I wasn't really a big-time drug dealer. I didn't even know anybody who, like, sold a lot of drugs, really. I mean, I guess I did, though. I put myself in a lot of bad positions. But I didn't look at it like that. I was just selling to support my habit. And I think a lot of us are. And we don't realize that, you know, that we're putting our friends and on our lives in danger, you know, when we're doing these things. But I went to a program called RSAT, a state program. And I was there. I actually ended up doing 20 months because I did 10 in county and 10 there. While I was there, Seth, the guy I was seeing, he passed away. He was in the Bluff for 2 days before they found him dead. He had overdosed, you know, trying some product before he had bought it. So I lost him, and, you know, by the grace of God, I wasn't with him. You know, because I would have been had I been out, or hearing that news, you know, would have led me to go down there myself, you know, and just numb myself to that problem to the point where I would have been next. But I did RSAT, and when I got out, there's still supposed to be a program, you know, an aftercare program, and it's supposed to be like 6 months. But Union County at the time didn't offer that. I think they do now. I'm not really sure the logistics of it, but nobody really knew what I was going through or what I had went through. I felt really alone. I tried to stay at home and just, you know, be by myself, and that's what my mom wanted for me, and she, like, coveted me like a child, and, you know, it worked for so long until it didn't, you know, maybe 3 or 4 months, and just, you know, the thoughts just kept coming into my mind and terrorizing me. I mean, literally, and I had a girlfriend. You know, getting out of prison, I even thought that I was, like, gay for a while. You know, it's just such a confusing time, to not have help and support, going through that. But anyways, I did what I could. I put in for a transfer to go to Florida. By this time, I had already used, and it was, like, too late. I had met my brother. I didn't know him my whole life, you know. I had some bad memories of when I was a child, but, you know, I had got to know him right before I had went to prison, and I actually met him on his wedding day. He paid for me to go down there, and he supported me the whole time I was in prison. And when I got out, I went down there, but I was, like I said, I was already using, and I had stopped, but, you know, and I had 2 nieces down there. I was taking care of them, but, you know, my brother, he had, you know, some similar issues. You know, these things, they don't just happen at random sometimes. I think, like, some of these things, they're genetic, because my brother, you know, he struggled his whole life too, and, you know, whereas he had built this, you know, new life, wife, kids, he still had spurts, you know, where he tried to support them with drugs. I mean, that's what he knew, and he still, you know, every 3 months, you know, went out on a little bender, and that's what's kept him going, I guess. I don't really know. He actually passed away about 2 years ago, a terrible hit and run accident, right before my last little thing. But anyways, before this, I went down there, and he actually gave me the first drug I did in Florida, for babysitting one night, and it was just on. After that, it just takes one. Drugs are different down there. I started smoking crack. And that is just like a whole nother force. You just want whatever you can get if you can't get that. I mean, I cannot explain it. And it is just all consuming, mind consuming. I mean, that's what creates living zombies. I mean, I'm convinced. But I stayed there for about a month, and then he wanted me to leave. His wife had a lot of pressure from his wife, and, the kids were there, and I understood. I went down to Clearwater with my aunt, and, I actually, got involved with his friend, Rob, his best friend, his lifelong best friend. There's a significant age gap between me and my brother, about 25 years. So Rob was about 50. But he was my saving grace at that time. I think. Now Rob, he had like a limousine business. So there was a lot of partying and things like that. And I was very drawn to that. So that's how I got connected with Rob. But I think Rob cared very much for me, and the more time we spent together, that care only developed more, because I got in trouble, and, he was just done. He stopped, with the limousine business, and, he sent me to rehab for the first time, my first real rehab. I went to White Sands in Tampa, and, I completed that program, and, I didn't try, actually. I didn't. I came home, and I just wanted to use. I think toward the end, Rob just saw me as a problem he could solve by just giving me what I wanted. And he did give me everything I wanted. And I took care of him, in return. I really hate to say that that's what our relationship was like, but that was the reality of it. He kept me going, though, I think. He tried different things with me, through the years, Suboxone, and, he passed away, of cancer. It was very sudden. I had finally got back into school, and I was going to school, and he was getting sick. And this was like 2018, the beginning of the year, and he was just very sick, and I didn't know why. He was just falling over, and his dreams were coming into reality, and anyways, I took him to the hospital, and they never let him leave. And from this point, my life is over. I didn't know how to function or live. And I used right there next to his hospital bed. I just couldn't do it. And I had about 6 weeks, where I reached new lows. I wrecked the car he gave me. I had to come into money, and it was all gone. I let somebody, rob me of all the things that I had, built for myself and acquired, pretty much. I let somebody give my body away. I gave my body away for drugs. I was being kept in this, like, abandoned house, in Newport Richie, and the houses around it. There was like an old man that lived next door. He was like a veteran, you know. And then there was a drug dealer that was like diagonal across the street, and then another one across the street. One that slept with me and gave the guy that was kind of like, I thought was my friend in the beginning, and like who I thought I was seeing. Drugs for me. There were other people that were brought into the house for me. But I really never felt safe there. There was sometimes not water and power. And Kevin, the guy, he would leave for days at a time and not come back. And there was not food sometimes. And I didn't know how to leave. I didn't want to really go. I mean, drugs had become my only friend, the only way to escape. And then, sad to say, but the guys that came in and out, and then Kevin, they were the only kind of source of intimacy, even though it wasn't, that I was getting, since I wasn't getting robbed. And I just felt so empty, you know, toward the end of those 6 weeks. You know, bad things were happening to me. I broke 6 cell phones. Like, guys were just smashing my phones. I was feeling, like, terribly unsafe all the time. Like, being hit and being pushed around and screamed at and just told how worthless I was. You know, but yet made to feel like I couldn't do anything at all. My stuff was being taken, you know, and sold. And then anything that, you know, was made, you know, was being kept from me. You know, that's kind of the position that I put myself in, using drugs. Anyways, I told my mom that I just felt so alone after Rob had passed, that I just couldn't stay down there alone anymore. And she just happened to be coming down for a wedding, and she said that she would get me and bring me back. And they came a day early, and I wasn't packed or anything. I've never felt so bad as when I looked into my mother's eyes and just saw how, like, disgraced she was at my appearance. Like, she didn't even want to take me in Walmart. You know, she just knew instantly. She was like, we're going to detox. You know, she was gonna leave me there because I didn't have my things ready and I wasn't moving. I ended up just leaving everything that was left, with just the bag on my shoulders and the shitty clothes I was wearing. But that was the day I began my new life, and I didn't get it right away. I went to one rehab, and I made it about 90 days, and I used one time. I told on myself, and I went to another rehab, and I made it out, and I went to a sober living, and I used, and I got caught, and I went back to the beginning house, and they were gonna send me to treatment. And I was in the house and I didn't tell him I had more drugs, and I went to the bathroom and I was just gonna use one more time. Then I had fentanyl. And I didn't know really how to dose it, or that it was much different. I thought I could handle it. And I couldn't. And I was dead for 15 minutes. And my house manager, Jessica, her and the guys that lived in the halfway below us, they saved my life. I was in the hospital for a week with pneumonia. I went to treatment again. And since then I've been clean, and I've had, a lot of different, lifestyle choices I've had to work through, and troubles, but I've always had a good sense of community, and I've been able to come home since then and live with my family, and that's brought its own troubles, but my journey and being able to find my purpose and always being able to maintain hope and learning to find my honesty and my integrity and learning what was right for me, all of that is why, I want to do this, for everybody else that's here. I don't want everybody to have to, go quite on the journey that I had to. If they have to, and that's their story, so they can figure it out, then okay. By all means, but you don't have to experience the hurt that I do. Sometimes I lay up at night and I think about, all the things that I've been through in detail, and it's painful. But that's my process. I want this, to help people find their purpose, where they can thrive in the community, where they can be a part of. I want this so that we can all become better individuals, whether that's like our personal life, our professional life, our mental and emotional well-being, our physical life, our physical well-being. I just want our community to come together to give each and every person in the community their best shot at being their very best selves. Nobody left behind. That's kind of like my thing. Like, I don't want to leave anybody in the dust. I want to give everybody a place, to be. So often we forget that, it's the people in recovery, they're struggling, but like, what about their families? When I was in recovery, my mom, searched desperately for help for herself and how to manage, me. She couldn't find the resources. Like, I just want to bring all those resources and all that help and, all of us together, so everybody can find everything they need, all in one place, and hopefully I have enough strength and willingness, to pull this through to the other side. I'm sharing this story with you today, so you can kind of just know a little bit about me and why I'm passionate about this, why I want this. I don't want anybody to have to, go through the things that I did, to waste years of their lives, being taken advantage of. Let's find our strength today and overcome, the things that are hard. We can do hard things. So let's start today. And let's try to make this recovery community organization possible. Let's all share our stories. If you have a short story to share about how addiction and recovery has affected your life, send them to me. I would love to hear them. I'd love to post them and share them. It will be great. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening.